Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and in the virtual studio is a recently new acquired friend of mine. His name is Greg Giroux. He is the owner of Giroux Electric and TruPros, which we're going to dive into a little bit. We've got a lot of neat things that we're going to reveal to you in this conversation and why we are doing the things that we're doing together. But Mr. Giroux, thanks for being here. It's good to see you. Like, we haven't seen enough of each other in the last couple of weeks.
Thanks for having.
So where are you located? Tell the listeners where you're at.
I'm located in central Massachusetts, just about 30 minutes west of Boston.
Okay. Now, you have a podcast, the Tradesman Confidential.
Correct.
You were kind enough to invite me onto your show a few months ago.
We did. It was good.
It was a lot of fun.
Fun.
And that was where really our friendship kind of started. And after that podcast, I think we had an hour and a half conversation about just business and
literally following the podcast.
Right after. Yeah. As if we didn't spend enough time, right? With an hour and a half podcast. And then we did another
podcast business. And then
yeah. It's
business.
Yeah. You got to keep them separated. So you and I come up with some ideas again that I want to talk about, but let's give a little bit of baseline. You're an electrician by trade. You have your own company. Walk me through that just a little bit, so we have some.
How much do you want to know?
We've got some highlight points, but I feel like if we don't give at least some context.
Okay. I mean, I started in the field, or I'm right out of junior high. Freshman high school, I went to a trade school. I got a job immediately at electrical contractor, thanks to my dad. And I just kind of worked my way up, did what everybody else did. I finished my apprenticeship and I graduated trade school, finished my apprenticeship, got my license, went to another contractor, and then decided to start my own business almost immediately after getting my license. I think I was 22. So I started my own business back in 2006, 7. And then I've paid the stupid tax since. I've learned a lot. I didn't go to college. I guess I just went to traditional high school. Trade school. No college education, but I did pay for a college education. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is all the mistakes I made and that I learned from. That was my tuition.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot. And with what I've learned, that's where I kind of, TruPros was born. So I built this electrical company from just me to, a dozen guys in the field and the administrative staff to run it. But the struggle is real, as we all know. Mm-hmm. And I've seen a lot of the same pattern going on in businesses, talking to other contractors, talking to other owners. It's always the same story over and over again. They worked for a company. They felt like they could make more money. They left their existing company or their boss and started their own company. But it's always the same problems. It's the same situation over and over again. And everybody gets caught in this hamster wheel. And I started to wonder why. So out of all the things that I've learned, I mean, I don't have this giant company, but it's a successful, smaller business. And I like it that way because I like to use my time elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And that's where TruPros really shines, because with all the knowledge I have and everything that I've struggled with, I don't want to see others struggle with. Mm-hmm. It seems daunting. There's a lot to it, but when you break it down, it's not. It's just you don't know what you don't know. And what I find is there's so many skilled tradespeople out there like myself and like you, Josh, that are fantastic at what you do. You're amazing and talented on so many levels, except for there's this one piece that when you leave your employer, everybody says they started their own business. And I like to correct that and say that there's a big difference between business and self-employment. And most people are self-employed. They don't understand the business aspects and what it takes to properly
Mhm,
run a business effectively to grow and to get to where you want to go. And that's where these guys get stuck. It's where
mhm,
these guys and gals get
mhm,
stuck. And it pains me because you're so good at what you do, but you just don't understand the business part. And that's it's nothing to be afraid of. And I've come across a lot of tradespeople who are ashamed to talk about it. They're like afraid to ask for help. They don't even know what to ask. But you're not alone. There's
mhm.
so many. The statistics for small businesses failing are high for a reason. It's not because you're not good at what you do. It's because it's the business part that everybody lacks and fails, and they don't
Mhm.
have time to work on the business, and then they don't have the money to work on the business. It's always a back and forth,
Yep.
right?
They have the time, but not the money, and
And
when they're
not
making the money, they don't have the time
correct,
because they're turning the wrenches, right? They're
correct.
producing the revenue, they're generating the work.
Yep,
A couple things that you said. One, I started this business for the same reason, is I didn't wanna have to watch someone else go through the struggles and failures and stupid decisions that I did, and, because what what's available today wasn't available, when I started my business, at least at this level of availability.
right. I mean, it was there, but to get your hands on it was way more difficult than it is today.
Absolutely, and podcasts had just begun, really become popular in 2013, 14. So I have that same sense of kind of a genuine care for seeing people succeed and not have to go through the same failure. The other thing that you said, that really struck me because I had not thought of it that way, is people are afraid to ask for help because they don't know what they don't know.
Right?
And I always looked at it as, and I still think there's a sense of ego and pride there because
Of course.
we don't wanna feel stupid. We don't wanna feel like we look stupid. It's not about feeling stupid. We don't wanna look stupid to someone else. And I really think that when you look at successful businesses, your business, my previous businesses, when you peel it all the way back, it one of the biggest pivotal moments is when you stop and ask for help. And you get a
That
coach, you get into a program, you
yep.
buy something.
My entire business and perspective changed when I started to want more. I wanted to self-educate on the business side and understand the inner workings to get to where I wanna go
Mhm.
because I've heard a million business books and telling you all the things you need to do, and it's exhausting thinking about it, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because you're already tired from working and busting ass all day, and then you have this whole 'nother layer. The business part of a business is a whole 'nother full-time job,
Mhm.
and most people don't like to do it because, well, it's what we call in the trades, it's the shit work, it's the
Mhm.
bullshit. Nobody wants to deal with it. They wanna go and do what they're good at.
Yep. Which means they do work for money and they don't make any money doing it.
They trade their time for money.
That's right.
It's not a business.
It's not. And having that relationship with your business is also one of the detrimental factors because, in the blue collar world, a lot of us started our businesses because we hated our former boss and thought that we could do it better. And then, and then we get into it and it's not what we expected it to be.
Right,
It takes longer than we thought it should,
right.
and it's harder than we ever hoped for. and and it deteriorates the relationship that you have with your business because I
And
look
your
at
craft.
business and your craft.
You start to resent what
Absolutely.
you do
Oh man.
because you're now it's not a question of I'm doing it because I love doing it. You do it because you have to do it. You have to
Yeah.
survive, and it's terrible.
Yeah. These Greg, you can see the refrigerant gauges hanging on the wall behind me.
Can.
And I've diagnosed a lot of refrigeration systems with those gauges, and you can't see them on camera, but hanging on the other wall in here are the original manifolds that I bought in trade school. back in like 2001 or 2002.
Manual?
Yes, yep, the analog
Oh,
gauges,
yeah.
so I've had those things for over 20 years, and what happened to me is what you're talking about when things started to change, it changed my relationship with the trade, and I became so resentful of the trade, you know? You fucking work this hard and you don't make any money, and you start to develop this narrative as to why you're failing instead of creating options as to why you can succeed.
Did I ever tell you the story about how my first year in business?
Uh-uh.
That was the beginning. That was the eye opener because I always stay in tune with the numbers. I always have. But when I left my boss and I started my own business the first year, I looked at my QuickBooks at the end of the year and I was like, "Oh my god, I did almost $250,000." Like, holy crap, that's awesome. Like $250,000, I was making 50 grand where I came from. That's great.
Mhm,
And I was like, all right, let's see what I really made out of this because I feel like I don't have much money. Like, where's all my money? So by the time I was done deducting the expenses and payroll and um, supply houses and all the expenses,
mhm,
I was left with, I want to say it was 80 some odd thousand, which I thought was okay
mhm,
because it was more than I was making before. Remember, this is back in 2007. So then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm working a minimum of a 14-hour day, minimum, probably 16. Then I did that math. I was pissed, pissed when I divided up. I was making less per hour than I did have left my previous employer.
mhm.
I was pissed. And I'm like, no, there's got to be a better way. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. All this work has to get done. I have to make more money. I can't really charge more. How do I make this better?
Mhm.
And that's where it really started. But I mean,
I think
most don't
that's
even do that.
yeah, they don't, and I was getting ready to say, the fact that you had that realization at the end of the first year, I mean,
Well,
there's guys that have been in business for 10, 15 years have never asked that question.
how many times have you talked to somebody? Oh, I did $1,000,000. I did $2,000,000. I did $10,000,000. You could have done $150 billion. I don't care if you spent $150 billion. You netted zero.
Right.
Net zero. That means you did all that work for nothing. You took 150 billion in and you spent 150 billion. That's the same
Mhm.
as taking a dollar in and spending a dollar. What did
Yep.
you net from it?
What was it about you that I mean, other you said that, "Okay, I need to figure out how to make more money," but I wanna know, like, what's the question behind the question? What was it that was in you or in your thought or in your brain that even triggered that question? Most people steer away from the numbers, right? They because
Right.
I think it goes back to what they don't know,
You
but
don't know what you don't know.
I'm interested, like, what was your attraction to that?
My time. What is my time worth? What is my value?
So self-worth.
Self-worth. Because if I'm worth more than I think when I left, I was making $26 an hour. I knew I was worth more than $26 an hour. And my boss at the time wasn't willing to pay it. And I wanted to start my own business. But what was my worth?
Mhm,
And when I did out the math and it came out to less than that, I'm worth more than this. So I know successful businesses are profitable. How do I get there? And what do I need to know? What are the matrix I need to know? What do I need to understand to get there? And that was the beginning of my
mhm.
we're going to do better. But the very first piece of starting a business and starting to understand that is tracking everything. You have to track it. It's a lot of work. It's a pain in the ass, but you have to do it. It's the only way to tell you where you're going
Mhm.
or how you're doing. It's the pulse of your business.
So why do you we may have already answered this, but why do you think so many business owners steer away from that part of the work
'Cause it
of
sucks. They're tired. I mean, you worked all day. You want to come home and now enter every invoice and slip you have into a software that you could understand because they've made it very simple, but don't want to understand it because you don't
Mhm.
want to do it. You don't want to do what you don't want to do. I get it. Trust me. But the fact of the matter is, you can be self employed the rest of your life and grind yourself away, or you can create a business, but a business comes with a plan and a
Mhm.
business comes with strategy. A business comes with all these things that we're talking about, and they have to be monitored. Doesn't mean you have to do them,
Mhm.
but you have to come up with a plan to forecast to find out what it's going to take to hire somebody to do those tasks. And that's when people are like, well, I can't afford to have that. I can't afford to have that. I can't afford a brand new van. I can't afford a secretary. I can't afford somebody to answer the phones. The answer is you can't afford not to have it. You just haven't realized that.
Mhm. That let's stay on that point for a second because it's something I've learned working with a lot of small businesses. Um, they look at hiring people as as nothing but a cost, and I'm like,
It's
you
the
have
opposite.
it's the opposite. I
It's
said
the opposite.
they're revenue generating positions. They should,
Not
they
all of
should.
them. Well, I take that back. They all are, but there's the direct and then there's the indirect.
Sure.
Your admin is the indirect.
Yes,
Your field techs and team, the people doing the work are the direct.
that's right.
Without those people, the admin doesn't have a job because you're not making money.
Mhm. Correct.
But
So you
without her, you can't enforce those people to make the money.
yeah, and
There's a
there is
point.
a balance there. You've gotta have, I don't know what the direct ratio is, but X number of revenue generating positions per one overhead position. But you can calculate that out to figure out what that needs to be in your business
Very easy.
and figure, is it 2, 3, 4, 5? What is that? And then, of course, systematic operation, transfer of information, data entry, all that stuff goes into play with the positions. This is something I actually realized I've never said on here. When we started the HVAC company back in 2013, um, day one for me, it was me, my business partner, a service coordinator, one one service technician, and two installers. There were six of us in the business the day I stepped in.
That's pretty good.
We did an asset purchase of a company, but kind of naturally we acquired their customer base and we started marketing very heavily. But when I started the handyman business, that was me all by myself, and that was a fantastically terrible experience of trying to do all this shit by myself, especially coming from a team, a very well operating team of people. So the reason I wanted to say that on here is I have both experiences. I have experiences from doing it all by myself, and I have experiences of having a team of people from day one.
Oh, and I mean, I built it from absolutely nothing. It was
Mhm.
me in an unlettered van all the way up to what I am today, and
Yeah.
it's a
By the way,
long road.
you want to know which one of those I enjoyed better?
The handyman.
No, terrible. Not do. I don't want to do that shit by myself. That
I'm
was
kidding.
terrible. Fuck me. It was horrible. You want to talk about l- figuring out what you don't know? I didn't. I wasn't clearly in tune with every piece of everything that my team was doing on the administrative side. And when I started the handyman business, and it was all up to me,
Chaos.
it was, oh man, I was lost. I was
Controlled chaos.
completely lost. But when you look at a business, you've got to look at it as revenue generating positions. And
What it is.
my,
It's a machine.
yeah, the business is a machine. It
It's a
is an
machine.
entity. It's got to have things in it.
It's a lifeline. It just like I hate to compare it, but it's no different than a machine in a factory. When you turn it on, it's producing. When you turn it off, it's not.
Mhm. Yeah. And if it's
And
just you out there with a hammer and an anvil,
you are the machine.
that's right. Yeah. So let's talk about TruPros. When did you start TruPros and kind of what was the catalyst for starting that company?
Started TruPros in 2019. 19. And the catalyst was just hearing the same crap over and over again. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, it started with electricians for me.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how many I could repeat. I could just have an electrician in here today, and I'm going to say, "You be quiet." And I'm going to tell you exactly how this conversation is going to go. I'll speak both sides, and you can just leave. because it's, oh my God, it's so hard. And oh, we cut each other's throats. And why do we do this? And the plumbers stick together. And it's the same story over and over again. I'm like, well, why is this? Why is this? So my fuel at that point was to stop that. Like, this needs to stop. You need to understand why this is happening. You don't understand why this is happening. You want to come in, the next guy, the last guy, you're all going to get together. You're all going to bitch. You're all going to complain. You're going to say the same things. You're going to walk out the door and you're going to do the same things. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. There's no different result. And then there's this like unspoken secret within the trades. Like, oh, I can't tell this guy what I did. And oh, he doesn't know my pricing. Listen, sorry, idiots. Everybody knows everything because there's nothing to know because it hasn't changed for the past 100 years. The rates have changed to go with inflation and times, but we stay at the same level and we do the same things over and over again. There's no secrets. We should all be talking to each other and understanding what each other does. Ask questions. Don't walk into a room and feel like you're the smartest guy in the room or the proudest, or I've got this business and I've got all these guys and I'm bigger and better than you. There's always something you don't know. And there's always somebody smarter. So why not learn a little piece from everybody so we can all work together?
Status ego of business owners
Ugh.
is disgusting.
It's ridiculous. And it's funny because I'll never call anybody out on it because I'm just not that type. But I mean, I can sniff it out so quickly. And I've met so many tradespeople that come up to me with the ego and it's just a list of how awesome they are. And I'm like, I pull up my little clipboard and I'm like, yep, check. Yep, you're awesome. Yep, you've got 2 houses. Yep, you've got 4 jet skis, a brand new truck, a boat. You're out of business in 2 years. I'll see you in 2 years. And like clockwork, 2 to 4 years later, oh, did you hear so-and-so out of business? No kidding, huh? Wow. I have no idea why. I do.
I want to term that as they have no financial discipline.
And that could be from a personal level to a business level.
Yes. But
and that is huge.
Yeah, but to even a prerequisite to financial discipline is knowledge.
Right.
Right? If I just went into the gym tomorrow and I knew nothing about exercise and nothing about nutrition, and I just went in there and I just started moving shit around, it's going to take me a long time to figure stuff out.
You might get something.
I might get something hurt, probably.
Very inefficiently.
Yeah.
It's a waste of your time.
It is a waste of my time. And then I leave, and what do I feel? Defeated.
Right.
I feel defeated. And that financial discipline is the same thing. If you don't have the knowledge to back the discipline, you feel defeated. You feel ignorant. You don't know what you don't know. And then what do? We migrate back to our habits. And our habits is...
And it's a game of keeping up with the Joneses too, because you see your competitor, he bought a brand new truck and he bought it. So if he can do it, I should be able to do it. So I'm just going to do it and figure it out. Be smarter than that.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going on the other side. You never know.
Well, how many companies do you see fail because they've purchased more liabilities than assets?
All of them.
Isn't it great? Because everybody's like, and cash flow obviously is a contributor, but where is your cash going? Where is your cash? Where is your cash?
Where is it and where is it going?
Yeah. This is something you may agree or disagree. I don't know. But for me, in a company purchase, if I can't put a logo on it and it doesn't make money, I don't need to fucking buy it.
Well, that's where people this is where the financial illiterate and not, when they get into a business, it transfers, right?
Yeah.
They've taken their personal flaws of managing money and they've just brought them into a business. A business that's not your money. At the end of the day, through a K-1 and the IRS is concerned, yes, it's your money and you're going to pay taxes on it. That's the only way it's your money, is when you're paying taxes. Other than that, it belongs to the business. You've incorporated or you created an LLC. You've created an entity. It's like a child. And that child needs to grow. The only way to get that child to grow is to feed it. And what does it feed off of? Money. It's not your money. When you've created a business and you're not self-employed anymore, that business, you work for that business. I'm an employee of my own business, and that company pays me. It pays me a salary. It's a fixed salary. Like everybody else here, I get a paycheck every Wednesday, like every other person at this company. At the end of the year, there's this thing called profit. That's above and beyond. That's what a company should do, is profit, and then I can take a piece of that as the owner.
And then you can buy whatever the fuck you want.
Then you can buy whatever you want, but until that point, you
I
don't buy
agree.
shit.
I agree.
You don't buy shit.
If that vehicle can't do the job, it can't serve a purpose in the company and generate revenue, and you're not gonna put a logo on it, the fucking company doesn't need to pay for it. If you want extra fun stuff, build a profitable company, use your profit that you're gonna take distributions as an owner, use that profit and go buy whatever you want. I don't
Right,
care.
right.
And I
And
wanted to
it
repeat
works the other way.
myself because there's a lot of people that are listening to this been like, "Well, I work hard, my company pays for my truck," and it's like, if you got a company truck, that's fine, but is it the right company truck?
Is it a $120,000 Ford F-350 diesel platinum that you drive 2 miles back and forth to
Yeah,
work in?
yeah. Or can you tow a trailer with it? Can you do anything to contribute? If not, that shit comes off your W-2.
Well, I mean, again, this is getting into the weeds, and this is
Yeah,
kind of what my program is and explaining is I have
right.
this all broken down in spreadsheets, so I can simply toss in a truck and say, here's the difference between what a 1500 baseline 4 years
Mhm,
old cost to a brand new F-350 platinum diesel. Here's how it affects your bottom line hourly per field tech.
mhm.
I can show you that. So if it's 30 cents, okay, yeah, I think I could swing that. But if it's $4, you better think again.
Yes, and
Because when
oh
that
my
machine
god,
is
it's so
running,
true.
$4 an hour per employee adds up really fast,
Yes, it does.
real fast. And there's no planning.
So
So
let's talk about because you that's a good segue. Let's talk about what your company, TruPros, and the program, what it does for people.
it helps with all the things we discussed. It's really financial coaching, but not
Mhm,
at like a CPA level or a over your head college education type. This isn't accounting and business from Harvard. This
mhm,
is tradesmen. Let me help you understand this stuff 101. But the impact it has is life changing.
mhm,
Planning is a huge piece of what True Pros does. That's its real core. That's at the core because you got to understand where you are and where you want to go. And knowing that and understanding that, then you can build. All right, how do we get there?
mhm,
I know I want to go from A to B. What is my map from A to B now? No different than going across the country on a road trip. I want to drive to California from Boston. Sure, I could just get in the car and hit some roads.
mhm.
Eventually, I might get there. I might end up in Mexico. I don't know. There's, that's how most businesses operate. They
Mhm,
just jump in the van and they go. If you actually map out the route and map out a auxiliary route, just in case that route fails you, you'll get to your destination. And if you plan it out properly, you'll get there in the time you expected to get there.
mhm,
So people are like, okay, great, I've mapped it out now, or, maybe I'll get there, maybe I won't. Well, when do you want to get there? So it's where you want to go and the time you want to get there. And then we reverse engineer everything else. This is what you do. These are systems, the procedures. And I think we've simplified it pretty well to make it easy for tradespeople to get their heads wrapped around and understand. And then I don't want to say make it fun because it's never fun. But once you start to see the gauges and understand them, it helps. It helps
You
motivate. You want more of it.
mhm. You enjoy the game of it.
You do. You start to be like, okay, well, I've made this and I've made it this far in the route. Well, let's see how much better and how much faster we can get
Mhm.
to the next checkpoint. It becomes a game,
Yeah, and it's a
and
very important game.
it's the stress level from the unknown of will I get there and how am I going to get there goes away
Mhm,
because you can see it. So now you can forecast, you can plan. You know where you are. You know the milestones. You know where you are month to week to week, day to day. It doesn't matter. I can take it all the way down. I like to see it job to job. I want to know how you
mhm.
did on every single job because that translates to how you did that week, to that month, to that quarter, to that year. But again, if you don't understand how to do it, it
Yeah.
seems daunting.
So, True Pros, what does it teach us on, let's call it an accounting 101 level, meaning understanding terminology and where things go?
I mean, that's basic understanding, right? Like
Mhm,
you have to know what these things mean. Everybody talks about AR and AP, accounts payable, accounts receivable. You got to know what they are down to their fundamental level
mhm,
and how they affect your business because everybody knows they're owed some money. But how long have people owed you money? Who owes you money? And then how much money are you making off of that? So great, somebody owes you 100 grand, but if you spent 100 grand and they owe you 100 grand, there's no
mhm.
profit in there. So every day that you don't collect every dollar of that, you're a bank. You're a 0% bank.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
contractors are the largest bank in the world.
Yeah.
They don't think that, but we
I
tend
think subcontractors are the largest bank in.
sorry. So okay, call it what you will.
Yeah, yeah. I like
But
when
we're
I
the
think about
best bank,
working with GCs. Yeah, absolutely.
0%
Yep.
for as long as you want. Because most contracts read you get paid when we get paid.
Mhm.
So that means you get to fund my project until I get paid at 0%. It's amazing.
It's detrimental.
It is detrimental to your business
Yeah.
because I like to use an airplane as the analogy for business. And you can fly certain airplanes, and some are more complex than others. But every airplane runs on fuel.
Mhm.
And if you don't have enough fuel in the tank, well, guess what? There's this thing called gravity, and it's going to pull you down because you're going to run out of fuel. You need to know how much fuel's in the tank all the time. And then where your next stop or your next fuel station fill up is, and how much you're putting in the tank because it's got to last you to your next destination
Mhm.
without failure because you don't have an option. That's when people crash and burn.
Yep. Something I've seen, you've probably seen, and honestly, I say I've seen really early on in my premature stages of owning a business, I made this mistake of spending money based on what's in my accounts receivable.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is the one of the fastest ways to go broke.
very quickly.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah. Spending money you don't have on the fact that that you're gonna get it someday, you're
on
gonna
hopes
spend it
and
now
dreams.
on hopes and dreams, terrible, terrible strategy.
Terrible strategy. The cash is king.
Mhm.
You need and the cash is I don't care what AR says. You could have $1,000,000 in AR. If you have $10 in the bank account, when the bills roll in next week, how you paying them?
Yep.
You're like, Mr. Bank, will you take this IOU from AI from the AR account?"
Yeah.
No, no, they won't. They want their cash and they want it now.
Mhm.
Same shit applies to you. You do the work, you should get paid,
Yeah.
and you got to keep track of it, and you got to analyze it to make sure that whatever you're making, you're actually profitable on.
Mhm.
Don't confuse movement with progress. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're actually making money. It means
Mhm.
you're collecting money. Doesn't mean you're profiting.
Right.
And the idea of a business is to profit. If the business isn't profitable, this is one thing that frosts my ass is when I talk to a contractor or a customer or somebody who's just trying to debate what my price is. And I say to them, this is my cost. And they're like, well, you're making money. Well, no, no, no. This is what my cost is, but you're getting paid. Yes, I'm getting paid. I am the owner and I take a salary because I'm an employee of this company. And without me, it doesn't run. So, yes, that is part of the cost in the overhead of the
Mhm.
company. It's not your money. So, break even includes your salary. And then above that, that's profit.
Mhm.
And if you're not profiting, why are you in business? Or again, I like to tell people they should become a. If you're not going to make any money, at least file a 501c3 and be a nonprofit.
Mhm.
Get tax breaks. I mean, I don't know too many people who don't want to profit, but you have to look at it that way. You have to profit in business, or you're not a profitable or functioning
Yep.
business. Why are you in business? That's the way it has to be viewed.
Mhm. And this, I wanna bring this back to, it's hard to know what you don't know, but TruPros exists to answer that question. You're gonna teach people what they don't know and help people understand what they need to know.
And what
And
I think at the easiest level,
at a at an application basis, right? You
right?
can take it, you can implement it, and you can get a result.
Right.
So you learn, you apply, you receive. I think the reason I wanted to bring that back up because all of the things that we're talking about seem daunting and can be intimidating, but the purpose of TruPros is to teach you those things
And
to
make it easy.
and make it easy or okay, if that's fair, make it easier, but also make it attractive in a way that you have financial control of the operation of your business.
Right.
And so I just wanted to kind of drive that point home for people that we're not telling you that we expect you to know this stuff. We're telling you that there's a way that you can learn it and apply it and see how this actually works. We're blue collar. It's got to be a hands-on application, right?
Oh, without question.
And if it's not, it's gonna keep stacking up on the desk until the IRS says, "Hey, we need this paperwork from you," and then under pressure, right, and near cancellation, then we finally get motivated to make decisions. And I think a lot of people do that with their finances, with their financials of the
It's
business. They just ignore it.
right, and it's procrastination, and it's proactive versus reactive.
Mhm,
We're very reactive in business. Most are very reactive on all fronts.
mhm.
Here's a fire, go put it out. Here's a fire, go put it out. Here's a fire, go put it out. By the time you're done putting out fires, you're exhausted. So there's no time to be proactive, but proactive is the key to your success.
And to be proactive and to help mitigate procrastination. See, I think procrastination exists for two reasons. One, it's not important to you. Two, you
Of
don't have a
course.
plan.
Nope.
And if you have something that you don't feel is important to you, it may be important. You just don't understand why it's important. And if you don't have a plan, you're going to continue to procrastinate
Because it becomes
on that
back
thing.
burner. It's not a priority.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I would rather be wiring houses than going through profit and losses. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's way more fun to pull wire and see something that I created with my hands than go through a profit and loss because those are boring.
But what uh, on that though, when people start a business and uh, there's a lot of things people don't understand. You can be self-employed as you say it. You can own a job, which is how I say it. But nobody sits back and goes, "What does it take to be a business owner?" I can own a job, I can be self-employed, but what does it take to be a business owner? These are things that is required to be a business owner, where you have a functional, profitable entity that you can provide livelihoods for people, you can solve problems in the market, and this is a great extension and representation of you. I think business is a gift, I really do.
I
But
agree.
but when you come into it and you're just like, "I'm just gonna do it better than the last guy," and you don't learn any more than they know, and you don't do anything different than they did, you're just another problem in the market.
And that's to your point of business that they call it an entity for a reason. It's an entity because it's its own thing.
Mhm,
It's not you anymore. It's a totally separate thing from you that you're in
mhm,
control of, but like anything else, you gotta
mm.
know how to operate it.
Yeah,
And there's a lot that goes into a business, and there's the books that work in a Fortune 500 company down to a sole proprietor. I mean, the functions are the same. It's the same base. Yes, it gets more complex like anything else,
mhm,
but the base is the same. The fundamentals are the same.
yep,
And those are what you need to understand. And that's what we teach. That's what we
mhm,
help with because we want to see contractors do well.
mhm,
If contractors all did well, we'd all do well. Everybody wants to get frustrated with the contractor who's the cheap guy and the guy who cuts throat. And they want to get mad at him because they think he's a jerk and he's just a throat cutter. Do you think he wants to be a throat cutter? Because you know goddamn right well he isn't making money.
mhm.
If he's not making money, then what's he doing? He doesn't know. He's caught. He's trapped. He's
Trying to
desperate.
trying to stay busy, nothing else.
And that's what he thinks is going to make him money, but he
Right.
doesn't know what he doesn't know. So instead of getting mad at him, educate him.
Mhm,
when I come across guys like that, and some of them will have their guard up and they don't want to be hurt. They don't want to hear what you have to say. But regardless of what they want to hear, they're going to hear it. Doesn't mean they're going to do anything about it, but it'll fester. Plant a
Mhm.
seed.
Mhm.
I do this with people all the time. I tell them, why are you doing this? Well, this is how I stay busy. I'm like, well, if staying busy making no money, well, I'm making money. How do you know if you're making money? Well, it's tough to pay my bills. Well, then what's going on? Well, I got to stay busy.
Yeah. You're making revenue, not
Right.
making money.
Right.
You're just
Profit,
making revenue.
not profiting.
You're not profiting.
But dang, those people confuse that their salary is above and beyond what the company should make. So they take out of their expenses, but they don't include themselves in it. And then
Mhm.
they say, well, this was mine. Well, who gets paid to do all the bullshit? I know that when I first started, I did all the administrative tasks. I did everything. It was me, just like you did when you handyman business.
Mhm.
So if you had an admin, you'd be paying that person a salary, would you not? How about the person in the field actually doing the work? Would you pay them? Aren't you that person in your business? And aren't you all of those people? So let's just use whole numbers for a second. I'll give you a quick little example.
Mhm.
If you're the handyman and you're out there and you know that you could go work for Tom for 30 bucks an hour, automatically you're worth 30 bucks an hour. But now at the end of the day, 3 o'clock, you put that tool belt down, you go into your office and you start doing admin work. Well, you know that, just again, whole numbers. An admin, you're going to pay them 20 bucks an hour. So shouldn't you be making 20 bucks an hour doing that at least?
Mhm.
Never mind all the stress and headache and all the things you have to do to create the business. So right there alone, you're worth 50 bucks an hour. That's what your value is because you can do both of those. That's the way I see it. Yes, you're not doing them simultaneously,
Mhm.
but you're able to do both of them. You're working all these hours. Nobody's working 8 hours a day, period. You don't turn your phone on at 7, turn it off at 3, and don't touch tools anytime before or after that. And if you are, you're probably not that successful of a business.
Mhm.
So add some context to your value. Figure out what your value is all the time as a business owner. And I don't do this because I'm cocky. I do this because I know what I know. I've been in this trade long enough. I know how to do things and how to get things done. I'm motivated more than the employees because I'm the business owner and no employee is ever going to see it the way you see it.
Mhm.
So I look at a job and I say, I can do that job in 4 hours, but I'm going to give 2 guys 8 hours to do it because I know damn right well it's going to take 2 guys 8 hours. So if 2 guys 8 hours is 2,000 bucks for the day and I can do it in 4, is that day worth any less because I can do it faster? So my hourly rate is $250 an hour
Mhm.
because I'm going to do it in the same time those 2 guys are going to do it in 8. That doesn't make me worth less. It makes me worth more. Well, I'm worth $250 an hour. That's the way I see it.
Yep. I see so many small businesses make less money because they're better at something.
Why?
I know.
And so right there, that is what motivated me because I am so at the root of all of this, it comes down to self-worth. If you're working less an hour and you don't know how to do this math, well, I'd love to help you do it.
Mhm.
If you don't know what you're making an hour and you don't know what your worth is, you're guessing. You're guessing. You're shooting blind every day and you're never going to get to where you want to go. You have to know. And if you set that baseline and you look at it and you say, I'm worth this, but there's no way in the industry I can charge this to get there. My suggestion, pick a new industry because you're never going to get to where you want to go because there are certain limitations. I
Mhm.
know that everybody at my company is worth double what I can charge for them, but my competition keeps the rate where it is. So we'll never get there. Doesn't mean I'm not profitable. It just doesn't mean that my guys are getting paid what I think they're worth.
Mhm.
And the market dictates that. I don't. I would love to pay my guys double what they're making because they're very talented, but the market dictates the rate.
Mhm.
So there is that variable. But again, there's the profitable people and then there's the not customer wise. The people you work for, there's the people you make money off of, and there's people you don't. And usually there's a mix. You're working for people that make money, but working for people you lose money. And that balances out. So everybody just feels like, well, I'm barely making money. Well, if you knew your numbers and you knew job costing, then you could look at it and say, well, working for Mrs. Jones, making negative $10. Why am I working for Mrs. Jones? Working for Harry, I made $200. I need to go work for more Harrys and less Mrs. Joneses. It's that simple, but you got to know, and you got to be able to track it, systems, procedures, and accountability.
Yep.
That's Josh's department.
Well, it's shocking to me how many people don't have a sense of accountability to their own business.
Right.
Because it's just a piggy bank to them.
Right. And it's not.
No.
It should never be. I don't care if you could be the most profitable person on the planet. Still shouldn't treat it like a piggy bank. You have a responsibility to maintain and manage. And that's business ethics.
Well, yeah, ethics. That's we could have another conversation.
That's for another podcast.
That's for another podcast. I have scars from poor business ethics from my past.
And honestly, that's where the empathy comes in. I feel like the people who are unethical are people who are trapped. They're desperate. They're forced into that position. They feel like they have no other way. So that's when they start to cut corners to become more profitable, only not realizing that it's just going to be their demise. It will come get you.
Well, they start not only self-sacrificing, they start self-sabotaging.
Right. And you started a business at some point because you loved what you did. Or you thought it was great. There was some motivator behind it, not because you wanted to be the scumbag screwing people, but how did you get there? Think about that if you're one of those people. How did you get there? And the answer is, you don't know what you don't know. And it's difficult. It's tough. Running a business, I don't care what you do, is tough. Trades, even tougher. Because we build this country. We build the world. We're the most valued people, but undervalued people. Without us, the world would fall apart, literally. From society standpoint.
Everything would stop tomorrow.
Everything would stop tomorrow. I have no value to some customers. But when they lose power, they have no electricity, can't run their computers and their phones and their AC. The wallet, there's no such thing as money. Doesn't exist. Get here and fix it.
Yep.
Whatever it costs, whatever it takes. Until they get the bill. Then it's a different story. So where's my value?
Yeah. Yeah. And just that statement. No, that statement alone takes a lot of reps and a lot of time because you have to create your self-worth. You have to create your market value. You have to create education to the client. You have to create value to the client. You have to understand the problem that you're solving. You have to communicate the problem that you're solving. You have to communicate the investment of the solution. And then you have to add value to the solution. And then you got to communicate again on collecting. It's like there's years combined in knowing how to do that.
That's just the communication.
That's just the communication part. That's just that 30-minute interaction between you and the customer.
That's not the physical work or the business piece.
No, it's just you in that moment.
Yep.
Having all of that stuff. So I want to switch gears a little bit because I want to talk about why I have you on here and why I wanted to introduce TruPros and why I wanted to share your story a little bit is as I have continued to go through coaching and work through clients, my wheelhouse is leadership and operations. And I do a lot of work in that area in those businesses, and I always touch finances. I make sure that they understand what their overhead operating expense is and what their daily break even is, kind of thing, and then help them do that. But I don't get into profit, markup, margin. I don't get that deep in the weeds because it's not my specialty. Doesn't mean that I don't understand it in my own business. I just don't have it at a capacity to teach and give people the tools necessary. So you and I have been talking for a few months now, and I recognize through the maturity and development of my clients that the financial piece is becoming more and more important and more crucial to their success. And you and I have decided that TruPros and the tradesman experience are going to come together in a joint venture,
Yes, we are.
and which I am beyond excited about. And not in just like a small one-off thing. Like we're you and I are already building avenues for people to choose of how to gain access to this information, how to gain access to this training where they can figure out what they don't know, they can learn and they can apply. So, I don't believe in coincidences at all. I think that the universe gives you what you need and you just have to be fucking smart enough to know of the opportunities to take. So, us going again, we are coming together to help solve two of the biggest problems in the blue collar world: money and leadership.
Those are the 2 biggest problems.
100%. I think everything else is just a result of those two things
It all stems back. Yep.
in those two. So I'm not the expert. That's why I've befriended you. And
And I'm
we're
not the expert in getting people to operate these systems. I can tell you what the systems are. I can't tell you how to
uh,
get your people to do them, Josh.
and that's what excites me, Greg, is you and I have decided to team up and work together to elevate people to the next level. So I want to talk about a couple different ways that we're starting to do that. One, if you're listening to this, you've been hearing me talk about our 2-day business builder in Reno. You've seen it on social media. Greg is going to be the presenter, the builder for the financial part of that training.
Yay.
True Pros is coming in, and we're going to do real numbers in real time. And I am so excited to actually sit in the audience with a pen and paper and computer and learn. Like,
Likewise.
obviously that event is going to be drinking from a fire hose, you know, from everything. But our first introduction. So if you guys are interested in what we're learning and you want to get an immersion hands-on approach, you've got to come to Reno. April 3rd and 4th, and you're going to get to meet Greg. You're going to get to meet me, and we're going to be presenting all of the things that we're talking about, plus all of the things that I normally talk about in 2 days. Another avenue that you and I are in the middle of creating, by the way,
Yeah.
so, impatiently as we are, um, we've decided to create a 12-week program called Blue Collar Bootcamp, and it's going to be an online course. This is like right now, this is our big joint venture. This is You're going to have an online course of 12 weeks where every week we are going to be delivering you something specific, from leadership to finances to sales to operations to leadership to hiring and delegation. Greg and I are going to be running that program together. We're going to have weekly live accountability calls in that program. That's the seed, because again, we're building it right now. That is going to come out after the 2-day event. So we are shooting for May. I'm not going to give anyone a specific date because
Please don't.
I'm not, because we still have so many things that we're trying to build, because
We do.
we want to add the value, right? I think that's the thing, is like we want to equip people with the skills, the tools, and the value to take this information and immediately go apply it to their business.
There's a lot of value there, but it's just at how to form it in a digestible fashion.
Yeah. That's the correct way to say it, because you know what you know and I know what I know, but to be able to, yes, give that in a format that's digestible and applicable, for people. We're working on that part.
Yeah, and I promise I won't make it accounting 101 boring. I'm a tradesman. I understand what it takes to hold the attention of a
Um,
tradesperson. So,
well, the thing is I really think that you have to be excited and intrigued about controlling the finances of your business.
and it can be fun. It
It can
actually
be.
can be. I mean, this is.
It's the score of your business. It's keeping score. If you wanna fucking win, you keep score.
I mean, that's like going to a professional football game, being like, "We don't need to keep score. Let's just see what happens."
Uh-huh.
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah.
No winners, no losers. No,
No.
sorry.
No, it's accurate. So here's the part, that I'm a little envious about is because you can track profit. It's so difficult to quantify leadership on a spreadsheet because you can't.
I mean, you can use the numbers for accountability.
Right, right. But again, to have any type of plug-in system that's gonna give you a monetary return and says, "Oh, this is what we made on leadership this year,"
Yeah, but
is sorta
again,
difficult.
you numbers. The best part about numbers, as boring as they are, they don't lie.
Mhm.
Numbers don't lie. So you can slap down numbers in front of somebody and say, "This is what we agreed to, and this is where we are. Tell me where we went wrong,
Yeah,
because this is what you were responsible for. This is what you agreed to."
right.
So as long as the way it's this is Josh's department, the way it's explained and expected of both parties at the beginning is
Mhm.
clear, then there should be no question. You give
Yeah,
them insight to it. You don't we make it so you can show your employees and your partners in business what they need to see without seeing too much that makes it this is I get frustrated with this topic because I've had many employees think that I'm hiding something from them or that I'm cooking the books. I'm not being truthful about what our profits are. I've got nothing to hide. I run this business exactly how a business is supposed to be run and function, and I'm very transparent with it because I've got nothing to hide. And they don't understand what they don't understand. You don't understand what you don't understand. So the same applies to anybody else. So when when employees have access to numbers and they walk into a job and they're like, well, I did three $10,000 jobs this week. I made this company $30,000. Where's my piece? They don't understand, and they'll never will.
mhm.
They never really want to. All they see is that you made 30 grand. You paid them 2,000 bucks that week. Where did the other $28,000 go? You must have that in a vault somewhere that you swim in at night like Scrooge with the coins. No, no. And that's why I let my leadership team see exactly what they made. Here's the revenue target you need to hit, and here's why. And here's
Mhm.
what it's cost, and here's what we've done historically, and here's the margins. So they see it. And if they hit those goals and they go above those goals, they get rewarded. And then their job is to explain that to the level below them and say, hey, you hustle this month or this quarter and we make X over. I'm going to get a check for 10,000 bucks and I'm going to split that with you at my
Mhm.
discretion.
Mhm.
And that's what I allow my leadership team to do. I say, here's the goal. I'm not greedy. I know what I need to make and I know the margin I want to make. We make above and beyond that. You can have everything above that. I don't care because we've hit where I wanted to hit. And I'll share that with you. But to get there takes a lot of work and a lot of
Yeah,
hustle. And that's where people get
yeah,
rewarded. Just
yeah.
because you produced $1,000,000 worth of revenue doesn't mean everybody gets a cut of that pie if you made or netted 0. So
Profit
sorry.
no, you're good. Profit affords you the opportunity to be a giving leader.
Right. And everybody says that they'll give when they get profitable.
Yeah,
It's a slippery slope.
yeah. But if you don't have that transparency, um, everybody thinks that they should they're ready to take. It's not a receive game, it's a take game.
And I mean, that's society.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah,
been programmed to take, 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 take
yeah,
instead of give, give, give. And if everybody just gave, there would be no such thing as taking.
yeah. So, what I like about that because my solution to that is culture and leadership. And, you know, obviously I said leadership's not quantifiable, but what's your turnover rate? That right there is very quantifiable. And
100%.
that is an identifier of culture and leadership.
There's some numbers.
There are some numbers.
There's some
And
numbers.
I also know that your ability to serve and be profitable is a direct reflection of leadership and culture. Because if you hate your boss, you're not going to take care of that client in the best way possible.
Nope.
You're going to just do what you think you need to do that has to be done to get to the next one. And there's no value.
Groundhog Day.
100%. So again, that's why I'm really excited about TruPros and the tradesman experience coming together and offering our expertise as a combo package for the blue collar industry to go, I can learn how to do both of these things now. So I'm super fucking pumped, and that's why I'm like it's all I think about. Like you and I working together in Reno, which is going to be our first step
Be awesome.
together, it is going to be so awesome.
It is.
We've got some tickets left for that. It is limited seating, but if this conversation triggers you, you need to buy a ticket, buy a plane ticket, get your ass to Reno because we're going to work with you hands on.
Yeah.
And if you want to be in a room, and this is what excites me most, Greg, is you're going to be in a room with like-minded people that have similar problems, that are motivated, disciplined, inspired. They want to do better, and they're there because they want to increase their self-worth. They want to increase their profits. They want to increase their leadership capacity. And so you get to be in a room with team players, with people like you that you're going to get to learn from and connect with and grow with in the future. So that's probably one of my favorite things about it. It's like, because we got people coming from Canada, the East Coast, the West Coast, the Midwest,
Awesome.
all over that are coming in to share this experience together and to learn and grow. And you and I get to spearhead it, and it's going to be awesome. We're going to haze the shit out of people.
No, you got to know what you got to know.
You got to know what you got to know. So, in closing, my friend, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think I've done enough ranting.
Never. Every time you and I are on a Zoom call or a phone call,
It's endless.
It's endless.
Yeah.
It is endless. Thank God for Brooke, right? She kind of keeps us. She kind of keeps us wrangled in a little bit, and you can always see she's like, "We're done. Yeah,
Yep.
you guys are done.
Nope.
I've got things to do." So I am thankful for her. How do people find out more about you, about TruPros, seeing your company?
I mean, there's a lot to know. There's a lot to
Yeah.
learn, right? I mean, there's not a ton of information out there yet as far as like content
Okay.
for you to get your hands on.
Oh, so just come to Reno.
Come to Reno, yes.
Just come to Reno.
That'd be a good start. If
Yeah.
not, TruPros.com, there's a way to book a consult with me. Just 30 minutes. We can touch base, get an understanding about your business,
Mhm.
your struggles, see if it's a good fit, and maybe we can work together.
So
But
go
until we have the
yeah.
course fully built out,
Yeah.
there's not a ton to go after quite yet. But that's how you get a hold of me.
Okay. Well, you and I are going to be putting out a lot of material for the course, the Blue Collar Boot Camp.
Yep.
We're going to start a marketing campaign and launching that once we have a finalized date. And again, thank God for Brooke. She's going to spearhead a lot of that part of it, because otherwise,
That's her specialty.
yeah, it wouldn't get out there. It wouldn't get out there. So awesome. Go check out the Tradesman Confidential podcast. You guys got about 50 episodes up.
Yep.
I'm
I'm
on.
gonna be resparking that. We got a little lazy with it
Yeah.
for a bit there. My
It's all right. It takes, you just have to it's consistent. It's so much consistency in the podcasting world. You just got to do it all the time, no matter what. I mean, we've recorded episodes on Sunday night to launch the next Monday morning, just so we didn't miss our target.
got to do what you got to do.
Got to do whatever it takes, man. So,
Well, it's been a pleasure to be on.
Yeah, man. No, thanks
Experience.
thanks for being on here. Thanks for sharing your story. Again, I'm very excited about the opportunities that you and I are going to have working together.
Likewise.
So yeah, super excited about that. Go check them out at TruPros.com. You can find me on Instagram at the Tradesman Experience, emails the Tradesman Experience at gmail.com, websites the Tradesman Experience.com, which is where you can sign up for the 2-day business builder in Reno. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Get out there, get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.